Yeah, we're here with Fixing the Fourth Wall.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of Fixing the Fourth Wall, where we pick the topics we find most exciting in pop culture, politics, religion, whatever you're thinking about. For sure, this motherfucker's thinking about it. I'm your host, Jesse Fetter, and he is
Goliath Rockwood. Oh, Alan.
And what are we going to be talking about today, Alan?
The times are changing, man. Just like Bob Dylan said. They're changing in comic books for sure, though. Because the best-selling comics, for the most part, there aren't even superheroes anymore. Most of it's just independent stuff worked through either Image Comics, Valiant, Dark Horse. Image has done, I think, a lot of the legwork. They gave us Walking Dead. I think Walking Dead is like the first, not the first, but it's one of the bigger comics that is non-traditional as far as superhero goes, that has really, really gotten popular and expanded. And
then you have in manga, we were talking earlier, Attack on Titan, or Shingeki no Kyojin.
it's Japanese, man. I can't speak that language.
The Attack on Titan series really doesn't feature heroes. It's kind of like apocalyptic.
Yeah, post-apocalyptic. Does it have a main protagonist? Sure, but he's not as central as some of the other characters as well. Like, his friends play a big part of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, reminds me of Harry Potter, where yes, is Harry Potter the main character? Sure, but is it any way possible to have that story without Ron and Hermione? Fuck no. So,
besides that, there's Boku no Academia, or Hero Academy. That one takes a different spin, where everybody is born with a superpower, and our main protagonist is one of the very few in the world that isn't. He's in a world where everybody it's natural to have superpowers. And that's what makes it interesting. And one of the best-selling manga out right now is One Punch Man, where, as Alan was talking about earlier, changing from traditional themes, as we saw in like Bleach and Naruto and One Piece, all which took from Dragon Ball. All the characters were very strong and always had to get stronger to fight a greater villain in each arc. Where One Punch Man starts out as the strongest fucking guy ever, and he's just trying to find a challenge, somebody that could stand his one punch.
yeah.
So the times are definitely changing, guys.
I'm so happy with a lot of how comics has become a true medium of expression for different artists. I mean, think of the show, very popular show, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. For a lot of people, Buffy the Vampire Slayer did end in season 10 on television, which is true, but it has continued in a comic book format. Same thing with Angel, which is a spin-off of Buffy, which is also an incredibly successful TV show for a time, and it has its own comic book series as well. And they've continued the story. Joss Whedon somehow has time, despite running Avengers and everything else.
Right, and it's not just a changing of the storytelling, where it's moving away from the hero cliche. There's also a changing of the inclusiveness,
Yeah.
inclusivity within comics.
We'll figure out a term.
Yeah, well, I'll be working on Merriam-Webster's right after this, but we've known
Oxford was the premier dictionary.
Oxford is a good fucking dictionary. you know damn right it is. My grandmother's from England, and she was always telling me, Oxford's the greatest university in the world.
Cambridge is better. Sorry, Pete. Don't.
It's kind of like Harvard and Princeton. But anyway, Not trying to get off on a tangent. With Marvel, for instance, we've seen a tremendous amount of storylines feature a lot of not just females, but there were bi females, there were some transgender heroes. Didn't DC just buy all the rights to, or created its first transgender hero. I think DC just did. It would no. You know what it is? The next Batgirl is supposed to be transgender. Did you hear about that?
I think so.
Like,
not surprising. I know there was a villain recently who was trans, or
Right.
at least a transvestite, which there is a difference, guys, if you don't know. But just a lot of characters becoming, it's more accepting universe. I think not Marvel, but DC comic books in general have been a platform for inclusivity.
Right.
Wonder Woman, like if Wonder Woman turned out to be bi, that should surprise no one. You're on an island with girls. You telling me no one's having sex? Please.
Oh, I mean, for sure. I mean, besides that, we've seen the newest in Marvel, the newest Iron Man is a black woman.
Black woman. Riri, who did get her name from Rihanna.
One of the Hulks was a Korean.
Yes.
As we saw.
Totally Awesome Hulk is Korean.
Yep. There's an assortment of characters.
Bobby Drake, who everyone should know is Iceman, is he's gay. Totally, full blown I suck dick gay. What? Nothing wrong with that.
No.
And people, at first, I think there's like some people have backlash. I mean, granted, there are fans who are crazy enough to have backlash over anything that's different. Like, oh my God, there are characters who are black. God forbid. But it makes sense to Bobby Drake's storyline, Iceman's storyline, as being gay. Right. He's a mutant. People don't like being mutants, period. People don't like mutants in X-Men storyline, regardless.
Right.
Being a mutant is like being black. If you black and gay, God bless your soul. You just want life to be difficult for you.
Oh my God.
So he hid his homosexuality and lived a life as a straight man. And I still think his relationships with Kitty and a few other women are still valid, just because they may not be his ideal situation. You still have feelings for those people.
Like, besides storylines and inclusivity that we've seen as changes in comics and manga, another thing I wanted to mention that's been changing is characters that die are now tending to stay dead.
Thank God.
Like, we were talking the other day about Jean Grey. She's been dead, for 15 years now?
Jean Grey's bad example. She's back again. So
God damn it! Fuck! I still gotta. I still, as we know, guys. Like I've probably told a few of you guys I've spoke to online in some of the groups I'm a part of. He's the comic guru and I'm the manga guy, so we complement each other. I'm still working on it. But yeah, I didn't know.
It's a different timeline of Jean Grey. They pulled all like the original X-Men out of their timeline. How reality hasn't collapsed in on itself, you should ask Marvel about that. But I'm not the best at physics and reality, but apparently they are. So
yeah. So in some, for instance, in manga, spoiler, but in the latest Boruto series, we learn that Sasuke and Naruto die or they are incapacitated to some degree.
Oh, they're gonna stay dead.
Yeah, even Masashi Kishimoto, he's never had intentions for them to live, but there may be a twist somewhere down the line. But for now,
dead.
Yeah.
One of the characters that I didn't expect to stay dead is definitely staying dead is Logan and Wolverine. And this is for spoilers to people who may be reading the comics. Old Man Logan has been taken out of his reality and is in our reality right now, but he is not the original Wolverine. He is not Logan, the one that we know. That man is staying dead.
And wouldn't it make sense too with after the introduction of X-23?
Yeah.
To continue as our newer version of Logan?
Yeah, she's doing a great job. Laura Kinney in the comic books, All New Wolverine. It's a great series. It's a great run. And it's true to Logan's legacy of empowering women. I mean, Logan has, not to get off topic, Jubilee, Jean Grey, Kitty Pryde, Rogue, and now Lord Kenny, he has helped these women progress throughout all their lives. So it is no surprise that a woman takes over his mantle to me.
Right, and we also noticed, I guess we could kind of add this to the topic of change. We noticed certain Japanese anime are getting adaptations in live film.
Yeah.
Recently, Scarlett Johansson did Ghost in a Shell, which...
Got mixed reviews.
Right. I haven't personally seen it. I think a lot of the reviews are being driven by people that have a problem with the fact that she's white, even though the character is Japanese. But if you can get past that, again, I haven't seen the movie. It may be good. It may be not so great. Whatever the case is, it's not doing well commercially, but the change there is at least now more is coming to the mainstream from anime. And also, you were just telling me DC, was it no, it was no, there's an Invincible film, Image. You mentioned it in your special. That's a change as well. And Saga from
Saga, if for those of you who don't know, you should just get the comic book right now. Stop, press pause, go to your nearest comic book store and purchase it. And it's one of the best comic book series done. It's like a super space soap opera, and it's magical, it's beautiful, it's well written, it's received many.
It's like a mix of Star Wars and Harry Potter.
It's everything, man. It's space, it's magic, it's Star Warsy, Star Trekky. There's all this different elements to it, and that's what makes it great because it's very narrowly focused on particular characters. Other ones that Image has done, which is Image is another comic book company, and it is creeping up on Marvel and DC as far as clout and power and money goes. They made another big one that I would say they have is They're Not Like Us, which is a feature about psychics. Let's see, Southern Bastards is another amazing, well done story.
I like that name. I might be tempted to read something like that. Southern Bastards.
Sex Criminals, which is a lot funnier and creative and a tastefully done comedy about sex.
No, another thing I realized, in a way that the times are changing, is the medium of hard print or print. Even though comics, a lot of comic book fans still buy comics, it's transitioning more and more to online as well.
Yeah, I will admit, I can read comics online. I cannot read a book online. I think it's the fact that of the image that allows me to suspend my ability to read because I get to watch the images. But reading, there's something that I think will, as much as technology will grow, it is hard to replace the feeling of having a book in your hand. I just can't do it.
And I agree with that. There's some things that are, change isn't always the greatest. But, I've noticed for all of you fellow anime and manga fans out there and lovers like myself, I've been reading manga online. God, I've actually in my life, this is going to sound strange, I've read over 200 manga. I've never once actually physically turned a page.
Yeah, me either.
I bought a manga. Every series or type of franchise that I've read, totally online. And for me now, I'm catching up with comics because I'm trying to gain more knowledge so I could be more serviceable with Alan in the comic book department. I'm starting to read comics online too.
But just to close off this segment, I definitely want to say just go out and check out different graphic novels, check out different comic book storylines, because if you think comics are just about superheroes and that's the reason that's holding you back from getting into comic books, you are sorely mistaken, because there's so many great stories that have nothing to do with superheroes. Sometimes it's just about two people falling in love. Sometimes it's about dealing with an abusive relationship. And do they take place in sometimes a supernatural format? Of course. But everything is so much more than just superheroes. Don't get me wrong, superheroes are great. I love them. They're my first love ever when it comes to comic books. But the medium has expanded so much more than what the original intent.
Right. I agree with that. And in the comments below, guys, you tell us what changes you have seen that we haven't mentioned in this video, and we'll be happy to speak with you guys about it and read up on those changes that we may have missed or that you feel are important to note. But yeah, guys, with that in mind, thank you for watching another episode of Fixing the Fourth Wall, and Alan and I are instant transmitting out.